let's try this problem right here. Let's do the IPO first, and then let's write the solution. Now, we don't have exponentiation, so we're going to use the multiplication symbol. Don't panic. Write the IPO. What's the first thing we do with the IPOs? We find the noun. Find the nouns. Find the nouns here. Okay, so everybody should have what an input? Number. Everybody should have what an output? Good. Now, let's take the verbs. What's the first processing step? Input number. Go ahead and write it. What are we going to be calculating here? Good. Whoops. Okay, write the code. Write the code. So first thing you do is you take your nouns and do what to them? Declare them. Type, name, semicolon is how we declare. This should start to becoming automatic, right? Type, name, semicolon. So we've got 3 nouns. Declare all 3. Declare first. You have to declare first. Everything has to be declared. So take all your nouns and then declare them. So call it number. Call it square. Call it cube. She made hers float. That's fine. Okay, good. These typically get lined up in one line below to make it pretty. Okay, good. So the first thing everybody should have is declarations. Oh, I took some of the names. Did I take? You might have to search through this pile. Okay, and then after you've declared everything, what are the steps to input number? Now we should know by now. We need 2 lines, prompt and input, right? Absolutely. I didn't write the declarations? Oh, no. I don't need the word declarations. That was just a comment. Okay. That was just a comment, though. It had // That doesn't have anything to do with the codes. Just there so you get the idea. Okay, so enter a number. CN number. That corresponds to the IPO statement right here, input number. Calculate square. We all know how to calculate square, right? Square equals what? Help me. Number times number. Good. Cube equals whatever you called it. And then see out all this stuff. And you can see out it pretty, square is, number is, cube is. You know how to do that, right? Everybody knows how to see out pretty? Okay. We're going to do number 2 to start with. The first thing I want you to do is an IPO chart. First thing I want you to do is an IPO chart. This is a wake everybody up. I feel the fading. I'm going to put it back up. Hold on. I'm just going to move the IPO chart right down here. You can work with your partner, or your neighbor. Do an IPO chart for number 2. What do we do first in the IPOs? Find the nouns, and then we put those in the input and output. We don't belabor this, because this is not the job. The job is to solve it. Okay? So work quickly through the IPO, which should be pretty easy for you now. Then we're going to write the code. Yeah. That's what I haven't showed you yet. That's what I haven't showed you that. That's what I'm saving for the best because it's so exciting. Hold off on the trace. Yeah. Not in the IPO, but in the actual, yes. When you start writing your code, this time we will declare. Write the IPO, write the code. Then I'll show you how to trace. Okay? And then I want you to actually solve the code. You cannot do the trace yet. Don't worry about the trace. I'm going to show you that in a second. So what's input? Pay rate's not input because it's constant. What is output? So that's it, right? So now what are you going to do with your first step? Right, good. What are you going to do as your second step? Good. And what are you going to do as your third step? Doesn't even say, but we're going to display salary. Okay, now, you've got your IPO. Declare your variables. Declare your variables. We actually have two variables and a constant. You've got two variables and a constant. Okay? So declare your variables. Don't think too hard about the big picture. Take it step by step. Declare your variables. Yeah, I know how to do that. I remember. Type name. Declare your variables. We got two variables and a constant. Do you think hours worked should be float or int? Well, if you work off half, wouldn't you like to get paid for that? If I work, yes. So you might want to make that float. Pay rate should definitely be what? Float. Okay? And then I also want you, wait a second. Salary should definitely be float. Now, do you remember how to do a constant for pay rate? You want me to help you with that? Constant float, pay rate equals, and give it a value. Give yourself something good. All right, so we're declaring. Oh, but this is a constant, so we put the word constant. This should be lowercase. It's just my word is just doing this, okay? And then pay rate, of course. What do we say about constants? People like 20. Is it okay? Did I tell you it's ANT? It's different in Java. It's different in C++. I think in C++ it's constant. Is that what I said? It's C1ST? I don't know. Okay, one is Java, one C++. I'm not sure which one's which, but doesn't matter for here. Okay, and then we've got float, salary. Okay, good. Now we've declared. Now we're going to write the code for this guy. Everybody knows how to do this. I'm going to come around and beat you on the head if you don't do this right. So how do I input hours worked? How many lines of code do I need for this? Two. What are the 2 lines of code I need in order to input hours worked? Enter hours worked, and so everybody has 2 lines of code here, good, where you're going to prompt, good, and then your next line is going to be, okay, good, I'm happy. We know how to do this, okay? All right, so everybody's doing it, I think. I tried to catch everybody. Enter hours. Now, don't be putting an HRS. We're talking to a human here. We're talking to a human. Enter hours worked. You might even want to say please, okay? Whatever, but no, okay? Enter hours worked. Okay, and now you do the variable. You with me? Good, okay? Now we're going to calculate salary. Easy squeezy because we know what operators to use, right? And when it calculates salary, give me what the left-hand side is going to look at like. Salary equals. So 1 line of code here. All right? And what did you get? How do you calculate salary? Hours worked times pay rate. That's it, right? How many hours worked? How much do I get paid? Hours worked times pay rate. And then, of course, I want to display it, and I can echo. I can say I can make this as beautiful as I want. 4 hours worked, and you can do whatever you want here. Hours you earned salary. Oh, what probably, okay, actually we'll leave that. Okay, so everybody get the idea. Question, Brandon? That's a good question. And here I have trouble remembering, so I don't like to memorize, I like to have it understand. So what you do is you remember which way the data is going. The arrows point to where the data is going. So in the case of CIN, the data is actually going into the variable, right? In the case of COUT, where is this going? To the screen. So it's the rules of the language, But to help you, I would never mark you wrong for this, but the compiler will tell you you're wrong, okay? But the arrows point to where the data is going. Does that make sense? So the data in the CIN is going into the variable. In the case of this guy, the string is going out to the screen. That helps me. I don't know if it helps you. Question? Oh, yeah. Thank you. It definitely does. That is thanks for being my compiler. And actually, what should I have really done with pay rate if it's 2 words? I forgot this. Underscore. That might have been better. Okay? Good. Okay, good. So everybody sees now how to go from your home. Okay, question? Brianna? That's convention. The convention is so that when you're reading the program, if I see this guy later on 100 lines down, I go, oh, that's a user-defined constant. Notice the true and false. Brandon asked about true or false. Those are program-defined constants. So C++ defines true to be, I think it's 0 and 1, 1 and 0. So that's just a convention. The compiler will not say a word to you. It's just a convention. Okay? Sort of like you could make your variables uppercase. Convention. Good programming practice. Does that make sense? Okay, so now your homework is going to be to take your IPOs that you did last week and write all the code for it. Solve it.